Let's start it off. Man, is it? I think I tweeted out that it was Monday.
Yeah, buddy.
Did I? I'm off to an
That's
incredible
a real Monday energy.
real Monday energy on a Tuesday. What are we doing? What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go. Let's go.
Tuesday edition coming to you refreshed from a long 3-day Labor Day weekend off. All nice and refreshed. I'm even a little tan. Nobody said anything, but look at this. I was out in the sun a little bit over the weekend, boys.
Yeah. Now that you say it.
You
look
start to
good.
see it.
You look good.
We got a great show lined up for you today. Guys, Team Serbia, our Serbia national team is in the Final Four of the FIBA World Cup. Now it gets real, boys.
Some real Ewing theory potential going on over there.
Man, you had to do it. All right. You just brought it all down. We're going to be bringing in Miroslav live from... do you remember the name of his town? Let's see if we can get it.
Oh, no.
It's like Pacheco or...
I don't.
Pancha. Which I think is the diminutive version of the longer actual name. He's going to be joining us live from there. I'm sure he'll make fun of us for our pronunciation. We're also going to be looking at star players that we think might have... You don't want to call it a breakout year because these are players that were already good, but good players that might even be in line for a leap. And then conversely, superstar players that maybe they're not going to be playing at a superstar level anymore. To help me do that, I've got Harrison Wind.
I had a great weekend, fellas. Spent Saturday at the DNVR bar with my guy, Derek White.
That's right. Yeah.
Just, chilling, watching the Colorado Buffaloes, going crazy.
Oh, my God.
It's a great afternoon.
I'm telling you, I was so excited for the Buffs. I was all except for because I wasn't around any Buffs fans. Oh, are we just going to play the video now? All right, Kel's
It's true, Adam.
very excited here. Look at this bar. Scenes at the bar. Look at everybody. What is this? Is that? And then look at the nice, well-executed high five here from Harrison. Unbelievable.
So you got to give credit to Nick, our social media guy, for getting that video of us. But it was a wild scene. Just absolute mayhem.
Proposition, fellas. I don't know if you've noticed the other beats beefing up. They're adding some talent.
I know.
Does it matter that he's on the Celtics? Can we just get Derek White? That's what and I can ask him about Tatum. Everyone will have fun.
Oh my God, that's great. Over here, I mean, if you guys thought his Thursday beard was good, wait do you see this Tuesday beard?
Not that different, especially on air. But I'm happy to be here. Thrilled to be back. I missed this show. I missed this energy in my life, boys.
Man, I missed it as well. So you kind of jumped the shark on me there. You got a little excited because I was going to talk about...
I'm still very excited.
I was going to talk about how legitimately... Guys, this is a Nugget show. I'm just going to take a second here to kind of go into this. But this weekend with the Buffs was so exciting. And as you mentioned, he posted just almost no warning, no anything. You just post a video. It doesn't even say Derek White. It doesn't say anything. It's just Harrison Wind going crazy. And it pans over to Derek White, your boy. Your boy
very
executing the perfect high five. Yeah, it is very Dev. Dev always texts Dev. People don't know. You ask him something, he's like, "Oh no, I'm at putt right now with Carmelo." Or something. You're like, "Is this a Mad Lib that you just put together?"
Do we ever get to come?
But you at the DNVR bar going wild, and Derek White too, man.
It was just packed. First of all, the entire bar was packed, standing room only.
Yeah,
and I mean, the game was so freaking exciting. Like, every other play was a score.
I'm not kidding. It was the best football game I've watched in 7 years.
I was so in on that game.
I was so in. I'm so in on it too. Again, it's a Nugget show, but I'm just saying that was a very exciting weekend for DNVR and for Denver sports.
And Derek White, obviously, he's on the Celtics, but he's a Colorado kid.
Of course.
Went to high school here, went to college here, spent his last college season at CU. And, I mean, he's a Colorado guy. So it's just... a bunch of Colorado guys at the bar watching the Buffs.
One of the fellas,
man. And it comes on the heels of some pretty big... I mean, today was a great day for DNVR. Before we get into some of this, I just kind of wanted to talk to our audience because, it's a long off-season. Off-season, you win a title, that's the ultimate high. Then you go into the off-season where snake draft and stuff. It's like, it's a little bit of a contrast after winning a title. But... I've never been more excited about DNVR and also All City. And we currently we have Pat Surtain, who is going to be joining the DNVR. He reached out, likes the DNVR Bronco show, reached out, wanted to come on and kind of give a player's perspective of, with that vibe and that crew of people. We added Todd Davis, who was on the Super Bowl Broncos team a month ago. We added him to the roster. He's a full-timer on that show. And now Pat Surtain on. Earlier today, we also announced Eric Lacroix, who played for the Avs back in the 90s. He's also the son of Pierre Lacroix, who built the Avs. So lots of really, really cool stuff going on with DNVR right now. And then when I see on the weekend, Derek White and Harrison Wynn being BFFs, it was like the fifth coolest thing going on at DNVR at the moment.
When you pop into the DNVR bar, you just never know who's going to be there.
Listen to my man, Sal. Keep going.
You never know, man.
Who could it be? I mean,
it could be Derek White.
Could be Derek White.
It could be a Broncos player.
Yeah.
It could be a Nuggets player.
Could be
It could be a Nuggets coach.
Could be an entire Nuggets team coming on. It could be a team.
It could be a team dinner during the summer. You just never know who's going to be here when you pop in.
So it's really great. So it's been a great weekend for us. I'm excited for some of the stuff going on. You just look at how we've grown as a company over the last 4 years, then you look at the cool stuff going on. It really is, in my opinion, and because we're the off season, I think people maybe don't quite see it even with Nuggets just quite yet. It really does feel like a new era for DNVR, like a new level. Yeah. Nuggets win the title. We defeated one boss. Now we're up into like the new bigger boss level, a whole new world we get to explore. The only game I've ever played is Mario Brothers. So
I can
if you
tell.
can tell, you can see how that was.
No, it's cool, man.
I think that logic applies to a lot of video games.
I figured.
You can feel the level. I think recently we moved out of the garage as a band.
Yeah.
But this feels past that, like the next level up. It's really cool, man. It's exciting.
Just keeping our journalistic integrity each step of the way.
I'm really glad. Never mind.
We're actually going to get to that in the fourth segment. But it wasn't just a great week/weekend for us. It's also a great week/weekend for Team Serbia. I don't know if you guys saw, but Serbia, sans Nikola Jokic, sans Micic, sans a handful of their players, advanced to the Final Four. They don't call it the Final Four. I think they call it the semifinal.
Yeah, Final Four is an Americanized thing.
I'm going to Americanize it a little bit.
I saw Miroslav use it earlier today.
He's pretty American.
That could be our influence. Yeah.
They have a decent chance now at getting a medal. And to help us talk about that, we're, of course, going to bring on the expert, live from Pancha. It's Miroslav.
Let's go.
Not Pancha, I don't think.
Look at him.
Oh, no.
It's not like I haven't said that like 100 times on this channel.
I'm apologizing on our behalf. I'm apologizing on Adam's behalf.
And I'm not going to say it now. You just need to come on Saturday to the Serbian corner and hear it again. So sorry. Saturday at 2 p.m. we are having a second episode of the Denver Nuggets game show on the Serbian corner, and we'll have the returning champion from last Saturday. I won't say who he was because maybe you didn't catch the last show. And we'll have great contestants again.
You're doing really creative stuff, Miroslav, and that's what I love about you. In your second language, no less. You're doing it all. Live from...
He got Voya to compliment him, which if you think about it, Voya doesn't like anything. So that's how I know you're doing a really good job.
Okay, so let's take me through this, man. How big of a win was this last one in the quarters for Serbia? How good has this run been? Because I know going into it, I at least was a little skeptical about how good this team could be.
Yeah, Team Serbia came to the World Cup with without four out of their top five guys from the last European Championship, and nobody really expected a lot out of them coming into the World Cup. But the thing is, it's very similar to the World Cup from 1998 when we had a bunch of injured guys who couldn't play, and it was a lockout season, if you remember. So the US team wasn't made out of NBA players as well. So it was just like a World Cup from dreams, because nobody expected anything, and they came back with a gold medal. So this time around, this is their fifth semifinals in the last 7 World Championships, which is pretty cool. And I have to say, I expected the quarterfinals because this is the way the teams were matched up against each other. But I expected a tougher game in the quarterfinals. It was supposed to be either America or Greece, but Greece sucked. So it was actually Lithuania who beat the US. And it's not something to be super proud of, beating Lithuania with 20 points after Lithuania beat the US, because it's just the, paper, rock, scissors kind of stuff.
Matchups, right?
It's just that the Lithuania is a really tough matchup for the team US, and Serbia is just a tough matchup for Lithuania, because we actually have good perimeter defense this time around, and we're able to, and also rebounding. So this is why we were able to beat Lithuania comfortably.
Without Jokic weighing you down,
Man, you woke up just wanting to stir the pot today a little bit.
No, he just won a title, so it's fine.
No, it is fine.
What I mean?
Well, before we get there, though, Lithuania, Serbia, I don't know. Is this a rivalry in your mind, or is it just a rivalry to my friend Milos, our mutual friend Milos?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know anybody that hates Lithuania as much as Milos does, but I have to tell you, Lithuania, for me, I always say this, they're a very noble basketball country, because basketball is the sport number one in Lithuania.
Yeah.
And also they're like one of the two teams from Europe that never had an American player playing for them. Second one being Serbia. So this is
the noble.
This is like we feel like it's a especially pure kind of a rivalry between the two teams, and there was never a blowout until this time around, and this one was really a blowout.
So so for me as an outsider, it does kind of feel like a special little run for Serbia. Is it sort of reported that way? Do you feel that's the case, that it's a little? I mean, the World Cup is a little weaker than some of the other tournaments, but nonetheless, here you are, 3 out of 4 teams remaining will get a medal.
Yeah, I actually don't agree that World Cup is very is low quality. The thing is, there were too many teams on the World Cup. There were 32 teams, and those 16 teams that fell out after first week were the ones that were not supposed to be there, including France. Sorry. So
yeah, they shouldn't be invited back into any international competition for a couple years after this.
He just cracked up as soon as he said it too.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that there are 16 teams now. Oh, actually, there are 8 teams now. But when there were 16 teams, there were 10 teams from Europe, and the other teams that were out of Europe were really, really good teams. So basically, the best teams there are right now. Sure, there's no Jokic, there's no Giannis, there's no Sabonis, I guess. So other than that, it's a really good competition, and it shows you that the superstar can take your team in the FIBA competition only so far. If you have a really, really solid structure of the team, you can compensate not having the top level quality. And this is actually what happened to the team US against Lithuania, because Lithuania, like, their best player is Jonas Valanciunas, who is like a probably 8th best center in the NBA.
But why do you think that is specifically for FIBA, Miroslav? Why is it that's the case?
All the teams played together for many years. They know each other very well. They play many different types of actions, both on offense and defense. Many more, I would say, types of plays comparing to the regular season NBA game. And, the American players, for instance, they played with each other for the first time on this tournament. They actually met like 4 weeks before the tournament started. So it's harder for them to build up that kind of chemistry, because pound per pound, Team US is by far the best team in the championship. But we will see if they will be able to win a gold with it.
Because these other international programs are they play throughout the year. There are qualifications. There are other games. Team USA, we will focus in on some of these. Okay, now they're going to compete for a medal, but there's always sort of something happening with these international programs in a way that I don't know if is the case with Team USA, versus it feels like a pickup team every time.
Especially with a team like Latvia, who is playing in the quarterfinals against Germany tomorrow. Latvia is a team that has 2 NBA stars in Porzingis and Davis Bertans. But all the other guys play in Europe, and most of them do not play in EuroLeague, so they've been able to play together. Latvia was actually very confidently better than Serbia in the qualifications because they had all their guys, unlike Serbia, who was, decimated by the players not being able to play during the leagues because of the leagues they're playing.
Is the press taking, though, to Vote's point, is the press taking a Ewing theory approach with Nikola?
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. Nobody's trying to speak things like that.
Good.
The fact before the game against Lithuania was a slight favorite against Serbia, so you can say it's a bit of a surprise to get a blowout in different direction. But on the other hand, we're just grateful that Coach Pešić actually coached this tournament really well so far, and he didn't try to push the envelope and force the way he wants to play. He is actually adjusting really well to the opponents we've seen. So I was very angry after the Italy game because nothing changed comparing to last year. But then they came back against Dominican Republic and Karl Anthony Towns. Oh my God, man, what kind of superstar is that? And then against Lithuania, really, really good adjustments from his side. So I'm optimistic about playing either Slovenia or Canada in the semifinals.
So walk us through Germany, Latvia. So there's actually 6 teams because there's only one half of the quarters have been played. Germany, Latvia, how do you think that shakes out?
I wouldn't be too surprised if Latvia takes another step forward.
Is Franz Wagner still out?
Oh, Franz Wagner is game time decision for tomorrow.
The incredible
we still don't
Franz
know
Wagner.
if he's playing.
Hey,
it makes a lot of
player,
change.
Miroslav?
That's
He's an excellent player.
Nobody's debating
Franz Wagner might be the best European player who is not top 3 in the MVP conversation.
Man,
I don't even know what that means.
Is
What does that
supremely
mean?
talented.
Giannis Jokic, Franz Wagner 4.
Yeah,
Are
I
we-
think I
are
would
we
go
not
that way.
counting-
Luka,
Luka?
not Embiid.
Giannis?
No, not Embiid. Luka, Giannis, Jokic, and then and
Franz
then
Wagner. Yeah.
He's better than Sabonis?
He is. I firmly believe
He's
that.
on my side, boys.
He's
No, no.
the incredible
He's on my
Franz
side.
Wagner.
Is he better than Paolo Banchero?
Oh, well, this is very controversial. You want me to say some things I'm going to regret
let's hear it.
about
Let's hear
Italy
it.
and America.
Let's hear it.
I mean, come on. Paolo Banchero is just a rookie. Come on. You cannot compare him to Franz Wagner. Come on.
Franz
It's too
Wagner
early.
in the league 2
He'll
years.
probably be better than him, but not now.
I'm expecting all NBA from Franz Wagner this year.
He's a good player. All right, what about
Those are my expectations.
Canada, Slovenia, who Serbia would face, the winner of that game? How do you see that one going?
I really don't know because Slovenia is a much more experienced team comparing to Team Canada. But Team Canada played some really good games, except against Latvia in the group stages. And they had some really comfortable wins. But on the other side, you have Luka, who is even more of a Luka on a Slovenian team. Like he has probably like a 80% usage on Slovenian team. It's really horrible to watch. But I don't know. It's just that Slovenia has the advantage of experience comparing to the talent of Canada, which is higher.
So where do you
It's
think...
a coin flip for me.
What are your odds then, you think, of Serbia? How would you rank their odds of winning the tournament, getting the silver, getting the bronze, or coming in fourth?
Yeah, well, if Serbia plays Slovenia in semifinals, I'm pretty confident they can beat them. And Canada is pretty tough because, I mean, Serbia would need to play a perfect first half and get like a 10 or 15-point lead at the half to be sure that they can win against Canada. And I think they can do that, but it's more tricky. So it really depends on the matchup. I'm more confident against Slovenia than against Canada. And then on the other side, we'll see. We'll see if Franz Wagner recovers in time and Germany goes to the final. I wouldn't be too surprised if Germany beats the US.
Oh, wow.
In the semifinals. I really wouldn't be too surprised. about that. Germany is really good.
I like it. Well, any hot take to get us out of here, Miroslav?
I think he just gave us one.
Don't bet on Team US to win gold.
Miroslav. Well, I'm telling you what, I am rooting. I hate to say this. I hate to admit this one, but there is a part of me. I'm rooting for Serbia. I'm rooting for. Somebody just said if Canada wins, they qualify for the Olympics. So I'm rooting.
I think they already qualified.
No, I think they have. I don't know.
Oh, either way, I'm rooting for Canada to qualify because I want to see Jamal next year. Part of me wouldn't mind if the U.S. beat Serbia in the finals.
Wow.
And then Jokic comes in for the Olympics next year to get him over the hump. When Team USA mysteriously and weirdly adds Joel Embiid, but then goes backwards. That to me would be a good, for my personal agenda, I wouldn't mind that one.
I want everybody out there to know I am backing Serbia for the gold. I'm Team Serbia all the way.
Unlike Adam, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. And who are we kidding? Pesic wouldn't play Jokic anyway, so it's fine. It's fine.
Hey, shouts to Ogie, by the way, on staff. You talk about being a little more malleable this year. I mean, who knows, but perhaps there is a little influence there.
Yeah, Nuggets assistant Ogie Stojakovic on the Serbia staff.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to congratulate the gold medal to the Denver Nuggets assistant Ogie Stojakovic because that might burn a bit, you know.
I love it, Miroslav. Thanks so much. Everybody, tune in. Serbian Corner every Saturday. We'll see you, buddy. All right, take a quick break. On the other side, we are going to get to players that we expect to rise this year into the stratosphere.
Guys, it's been a long time. 7 months without NFL football.
Oh, baby.
That changes this weekend. Week 1, NFL season is here, and we've got Broncos Raiders on Sunday.
I've never been this into football, guys.
In the afternoon time slot. Whew, I can't wait. I can't wait. For all your betting needs, though, check out DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. They're giving you a can't-miss offer for Week 1. If you are a new customer, you can get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on any NFL game. So if you haven't signed up with DraftKings, you've been putting it off, this is the perfect time to do it. Deposit, like I said, they're giving you a can't-miss offer. $200 in bonus bets. All you have to do is deposit $5, bet that on any NFL game. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code DNVR. You got to use code DNVR. Sign up. New customers, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. I don't even think your bet has to win. Just to bet $5, put it on any NFL game, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code DNVR. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Hold on. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resort. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See dkng.co/football for eligibility, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
Once you've got that app downloaded, you've got that can't miss offer. You're looking for can't miss bets. Let's do a pick of the week, fellas.
Oh, let's do it.
And I know that Wind just directed us towards the NFL.
Yeah.
And I know that this was a basketball show.
Yeah.
And I know that Miroslav just gave us some betting advice.
You're going to do the thing that's going to annoy the hell out of me.
I'm going to do the thing that's going to annoy the hell out of you. I'm going right back where we started. I am Buffs pilled. Colorado. Colorado -3.
I thought you were going to give me some Inter Milan or Inter Miami or something like that, where I was like, my God, the best sports week of the entire year.
Relax. I'm not that far into Messi. I mean, not betting. Colorado -3.
Go.
I got it at -115. I just don't understand the spread.
Yeah.
If they were motivated to beat TCU, they're going to be motivated to beat Nebraska.
They look so good.
They look so good. Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing, so bet at your own risk and bet responsibly. But Colorado -3, -115. Juicy.
Alrighty, I love it.
It's been great seeing you guys jump on the bandwagon.
I'm all in, man. How can you not be? How can you not?
Next to this Boulder boy.
All right.
What? Oh, hang on. I gotta tell the people about Volo Sports, the largest social sports company in the U.S., where we play so the kids can play for free. What are we playing, man? There are leagues throughout the city. everywhere from beer in hand kickball to bowling. If you see a group of people that looks a lot like DNVR, that's probably us. We have leagues. We can compete. If you're a free agent in the Volo system, you might be able to compete with or against us. These leagues are in Lodo, Rhino, Uptown, City Park, the Highlands, Sloan's Lake, Cherry Creek, DU, Englewood, Arvada, Aurora, Northfield, and more. Fall leagues are open now. Sign up before it's too late. Get your Volo Pass and start playing in leagues as free agent today. Make sure to use code DNVR10 for $10 off at www.volosports.com/Denver.
Some breaking news here, by the way, pertaining to Denver. AT&T Sportsnet Rocky Mountain shutting down. No Rockies broadcast for next season currently.
Cool, sick.
Not a big loss.
Jeez. But it is, and more importantly, it is interesting because when altitude went down, there was a lot of people saying like, oh, well, AT&T is pulling it off or whatever. And it's like, guys, this is a thing that's happening everywhere.
Right. There was talk that, AT&T could just buy altitude and put the games on there.
Right,
it's
exactly.
Like, that obviously was never going to happen.
So I only say that it's like a weird to take a victory lap on this because there were a lot of people in town who I think had ulterior motives to say like altitude's the problem, this or that. And the more you looked into it, the more you get into it, you're like, there's a wave coming that's kind of sweeping up, and altitude was the first, and it's honestly hitting Bally's.
And there's a lot of stuff with ESPN and Disney and Charter right now, and it feels like in a year, broadcasting sports could look just totally different.
There's like only illegal streams and nothing else.
It's gonna go. It's gonna be awesome.
The stream is on thednvr.com.
I like how every franchise is worth $10 billion. Every player signs a $500 million contract, and yet it's not available to anyone.
It's going to go all the way back to just the ABC games, except only a third of the country has cable anymore.
So we're watching Nuggets games on tape delay at midnight like we did in the 70s.
4 times a year.
It's my biggest thing about when people are talking about like Dr. J or this or that. I'm always like, he was on television like 8 times in his career.
Yeah. That's going to be Jokic for the rest of his career.
Yeah, the rest of his career. All right, neither here nor there. Guys, the Meet Today show, though, I wanted to look at, we talk about Jamal Murray, who is already a star, taking the leap to being a superstar this year, that this might be the year he does it. And we've also talked about the possibility, maybe a little bit less so likely, of Michael Porter taking a similar leap to where he already a name. This isn't a guy that was off the radar, but going to that next level. So I thought it would be fun to kind of look at some other players that are sort of fit that bill. They might be players that are bigger stars, but still that just go up a meaningful level here. And I'm going to start with one that I just think is the most obvious, and this is almost a little bit cheating. I think it is cheating.
Perfect.
Well, I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who it's weird because you look at him and go, he's already considered like a top 15 player in the NBA, this or that. The more I think and the more I watch Shai, I go, he might be top 3 MVP candidate next year, and he might be a guy that actually has as good of a case as anyone, but just doesn't get it because it's his first year sort of being in that tier. Am I on an island here and thinking that? I really love this dude's game. He's so dominant, and I just feel like he's primed to be like, we look back at this and go, how did we have him as the 15th best player? He's the 5th best player.
He's number 1 on my list for this. He's above Anthony Edwards for me.
Man, I love that take.
I'm with you, man. And I've been on the Thunder all summer. I love the Thunder. I think they can be like a 4 seed next season. That would not really surprise me.
That's how you get in that MVP conversation, by the way. Your team has to be
good.
And
they have the roster to do it. They're a good defensive team. And Shai is just going to put up crazy numbers too because he doesn't have to like share the ball with Karl Anthony Towns and throw lobs to Rudy Gobert. He can just kind of Luka Doncic it for the Thunder. So he's going to put up ridiculous numbers. I mean, he's an incredible player already, and it just seems like he's getting better and better every season, every month. So yeah, man, he's number 1 on my list.
Here's the only reason though to push back on it. His numbers were pretty absurd last year.
I was just going to say.
Nobody really knew.
Yeah,
that's true. And there was a little bit of, I don't think this was thrown against him too much, but there's always the let's wait and see what it looks like when it's a part of winning basketball thing. But as you were just saying, 31.4 points per game last year. The only argument would be that he's already made this leap. But I'm with you in the public perception.
The narrative leap.
That there is, he could be one of the guys at the end of the year.
Yeah. Josh Giddey, his teammate, is another one, and I'm looking at his numbers because I actually expected him to be a little bit lower. He was at 17, 8, and 6 last year. That's pretty absurd numbers. But I do wonder that if he's another guy that this year, like when people talk about how good can OKC be, part of me goes, I think they have the sneaky, already great players on the roster.
They do.
They just haven't quite all been there together.
Now they got
consistent.
Chet Holmgren too.
So I look at Josh Giddey as another guy that could he be in an all-star conversation last year? 17, 8, and 7 is really good numbers. It's the scoring that just would have to go up, or the assists that would have to go up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But those numbers, to me, if you told me he averaged next year 18, 8, and 8, like that's Steve Nash in his prime numbers.
That's crazy.
Honestly.
That's crazy.
And it's really only 2 more points per game. So he was another guy. Those two guys, I just think that by this time next year, we might be talking about them completely differently.
Yeah.
And it's even, he can do that. All right, so what did he shoot last year? 32% from 3. He doesn't even have to be a sniper, but if that's 36 and a half,
Right.
you know what I mean? That can be how he makes that point leap. So
The next one I have on my list, Tyrese Haliburton. These are kind of obvious choices.
Sure.
But again, Tyrese Haliburton had a great year. He's obviously on Team USA and playing an integral role. But is it possible that this time next year, he's another guy that maybe is in the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander path, where next year he's considered a top 15 guy? Because right now he's not that. But
Absolutely. And you look at the Pacers, they're another team that, could sneak up on some people next season. Haliburton, Miles Turner, you got some nice guards there. Brucey B's coming. So they're a team that could be on the rise. I think they'll be, in play for some of those last playoff spots in the East. And Haliburton, I mean, he could run a team like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, except, not shoot it every time.
Right.
Get others involved.
Right.
the thing about Haliburton too is pitched as this almost like uber Monte Morris type in terms of control of the game. Not
He kind of is though.
Sure,
the Iowa
but-
State connection.
Sure. But then what I'm in the 3-level scoring at the NBA level is, I think, ahead of where even some of the safer projections had. Like this guy's this guy can play point guard, but I think he can just play perimeter in the NBA. And to me, I see or perceive the confidence in this. Like when things start to click for you and it coincides with you get a runway and then you get to play for Team USA and you've seen yourself hitting up step back threes at the highest level, and all of a sudden that stuff starts to seem easier. And I just think he is in a prime position to just, take the reins and make the leap himself.
Don't you think? So this is 3 guards we just named: Giddey, Shai, and Tyrese Haliburton, and like Murray kind of gunning for the all-star spots. I know, Haliburton's obviously in the East, but even all NBA and just best of the guards or whatever. I almost feel like the field's getting more crowded, not less. And that's one thing to kind of factor in here. But there is one player that I wonder might be exiting frame. Mm-hmm. And this is my personal hot take. Ja Morant, currently a superstar and considered a top 14 players, 15 players, somewhere in there. He's kind of considered in that range. I look at this and I go, I wonder if this is a year where he's not there. And is there any world where this could become Desmond Bane's team, where he becomes like the leading voice and they play so well?
I mean, it might be David Roddy's team for all we know.
It might be David Roddy's team. But I look at Ja Morant and I just go, I would not be surprised if this year he goes from superstar to star.
Yeah. Well, he's missing the first 20 games.
So that's not going to help.
That's going to put him behind the 8 ball early. And yeah, you wonder how the team looks for those first 20 games without him. If they look great or solid even, it's going to be a little awkward.
And they did have that run without him.
Twice.
In the games without him.
Twice. 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
I don't. There's something to Ja as lead ball handler and the way he plays that is going to command the attention, the face of the team attention. I think as long as he's on the floor, but I actually think he's a prime candidate to run into some of the hurdles that just about all these guys do. Okay, can he do it in the playoffs? Can he score in the playoffs? Where does it come from? And does the pushback start for Ja? And is it expedited by some of the stuff that he's going through and the games that he can't play?
But let me ask this, though, because I'm glad you brought that up, but I'm going to disagree with you in one way. The cultural impact is the part I kind of wonder about. What if 20 games into the season, the team kind of has a nice vibe and they're different? Because the last few years, some of this is Dylan Brooks, a lot of this is Ja Morant, where they have this like the young punks, right? Like we're going to talk trash to the established guard. We're not afraid. We're good in the West. That kind of swagger. And I just want that, to me, isn't an immature swagger. It's the type of energy you bring when you haven't got over the hump yet and you're kind of like being loud. But Memphis is no longer that team. They've been that for the last 2 years. I do wonder if they're a more mature team. You bring in Marcus Smart. You got Desmond Bane growing up, and you have Jaren Jackson coming off Team USA. I just wonder if 20 games in, it's like, no, we're kind of a quiet team now. We're a quiet, disciplined, workman-like team. And he comes in with that energy, and it's like, yo, that's where his star kind of fades. Like, hey, there's a room for you in the style of play, but culturally, we're no longer that.
Yeah. Do you think he could get traded?
I do think he could get traded. I don't think he will. But I do see a world where it's
maybe like in the summer.
Probably more that than it would be like mid-season. But I wouldn't be surprising to me if this was a team that is like starting to move on in weird ways. And then next summer they have to move on. And John Morant goes from, there's just that explosive mold of player just always shoots out into the league like a cannon. And then sometimes they continue that, Russell Westbrook, but sometimes they don't, whether it's injury or whether it's just stylistically, a team's like, man, this chaos energy is hard to build around.
Sure.
Yeah. And we're going to go with something else. John Morant, a prime candidate. All right, what about John Collins? This one's really interesting to me.
This is Adam special.
We talk a lot about John Collins.
I mean, John Collins, I feel like I'm lower on than the collective NBA
new environment
world.
Though.
New environment, maybe even less of a role though.
But no Trae Young.
Sure. But Colin Sexton.
You're right. It's like
is the star leap even with John Collins?
No, the leap with John Collins is becoming the next Aaron Gordon.
I was just gonna say that. I really was.
That's everybody's favorite parlor NBA game to play.
Right.
Who's going to be the next Aaron Gordon?
He's got this elite athlete.
Yeah.
He's
Who's going to go
tools.
from this empty stats, bad situation, and go to a new environment and really find himself and start playing winning basketball? A lot of people think that can be John Collins.
I'm with you.
I think it can in a way. I just don't see him having the ceiling that Aaron Gordon did in his new role.
It won't happen in Atlanta.
But he's in Utah now.
No, he's in
that's
Utah.
right,
He got traded.
Yeah.
That's why I put him on this list. Is when a player goes somewhere new, you wonder if it's going to like meaningfully change it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, there are good vibes in Utah right now. There are like guys are going there playing well. The expectations are low enough.
Right.
It's a good place for that.
This isn't a D-line special I threw in there. I saw he was in the chat. Jalen Green.
To regress or make the leap?
Either one. I honestly, you could go
both on the table.
Well, like right now, Jalen Green is like a high upside prospect. But if he does, this could be the year where it's like, no, he's not. He's not he's no longer a high upside prospect. Or it could be the year where it's like, oh, he made this is what we were waiting for.
Houston has a lot of guys they can pick from too. Is the thing. Like, oh, this is now this guy's team instead.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts?
Which way would you go?
I mean, I'm not Jalen Green guy. So.
I don't think about Houston very much. I would say, I think Jalen Green is talented enough to get better before he gets worse.
You know whose careers he could mirror? A Kuzma or a Julius Randle. These guys that were actually good were overhyped a little bit. For them, it was Lakers. For Jalen Green, just because he was a top pick, who ends up having to go to another place where it's like, he is a good player, but he wasn't what he should have been. He should have been a star, and he's not. He's just a good player, and it takes a while for him to arrive there because he has to bounce to 3 different teams before settling into a nice 6-man.
Yeah.
I can see that. And this could be the year of that. Like you said, they have a lot of players, so they could move on from him.
One guy I think could make this kind of leap is Tyrese Maxey. I think he's going to get maybe an opportunity leap. He's already had plenty in Philly. 20 points per game last year, 43 from 3, just under 50 from the field.
But he's not a big 2. But this year he could be.
Well, with Harden potentially exiting stage left in the most dramatic, annoying way possible, on the floor, does this just shift to more Maxey responsibility? And with a guy who has regular season gravity the way Embiid does, in a perimeter-oriented league, Maxey can put up numbers, no doubt. Now, you will have some questions in the course of his career. Is he too small? Can he defend? What do the lineups look like? But in a regular season, a long Embiid with Harden pouting, there's room for Maxey to take, I think, a real leap.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that'll happen? Do you think Maxey becomes a legitimate second option? Because that's what a leap would be for him.
He will be, but he isn't. I mean, he's not your second best player on a championship team or on a contender. He's just not. I think he probably is going to be that guy for Philly though this season.
But that they'll come up short though. I'm saying, well, there's a lot of guys that are the second best player on a team, but they're not good enough to be that.
He's like I don't want to give him away. He's a guy on my regression list, but he's like this guy to me.
Yeah, but he could. I think his points per game could go up. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's going to pour it in.
All right, let's take a break. On the other side, as I'm going through my list, I have kind of more regression candidates than I do have breakout ones, but I do have a couple more breakout ones as well.
Same.
Kind Love, guys. Love having Kind Love as a partner here at DNVR. They are super local, just like us. They're Colorado through and through. They've got top-of-the-line products, great service. They were one of the first dispensaries in Colorado, established all the way back in 2010. So they know how to do their shit. Authentic genetics, patient grow techniques. It's one of the highest quality brands in Colorado. And of course, they have the turbo joints, their turbo core, the 100 milligram stick that looks like a toothpick. It's what you need. The turbo joint, 0.7 grams of whole bud, 0.3 grams of turbo keef. They've got awesome prices, awesome deals. You can get 8s for $20 out the door, ounces for $100 out the door. You can visit one of their stores. They got one in Cherry Creek or North Denver. Mention DNVR. You get the DNVR exclusive discount, 25% off all Kind Love flower pre-rolls and their turbo joint line. You can also visit their website if that's your thing, kindlove.com. Use the code DNVR for online ordering and their full extensive menu.
Adults recreate too, and maybe your thing is more in the beer department. How about Breckenridge Brewery? Or why not both? If you like beers at all, you'll love all the Breck beers at DNVR. And right now is a great time of year to try the Mountain Beach Sour, which is on tap here at York and Colfax for just $6. Breck Brew has a beer for any occasion.
I'm calling it, by the way, next week.
What are you calling?
Next Monday. On this very show, I think I'm going to crack my first Avalanche Amber.
How do you call that?
Tune
Isn't that
in.
up to you?
I look at the weather reports. Do kids not look at the weather reports these days? I
First
look
of
at the
all,
weather
no.
report. Look at the flannel on my guy Kale, though. He's shining
Supposed
today.
to be like nice and warm, but like not too warm.
No, it's like 65 or
Yeah,
something on
that's what
Monday.
I mean.
Fall
Like,
weather.
That's Avalanche Amber weather.
That's Avalanche Amber. I can't wait. Been waiting.
Whatever your vibe is, Breck has a beer that fits it. Check it out at breckbrew.com and check out the Breck Beer Locator to find a brew near you.
I was up in Breckenridge this weekend, man. I love
That's
Breck.
nice,
It's so gorgeous. I told you I saw the crossbill.
The
Really good
beer
weekend.
just flowing from the mountains.
This one I put the Phoenix Trio because it seems somewhat inconceivable to me that all three have regular years. One of them has to regress. Don't you feel like just
You
one
know
of them?
who it's going to be.
Bradley Beal?
Of course.
I had Kevin Durant. I'm not kidding.
No, Kevin Durant's going to get his, man.
Kevin Durant does kind of have the thing where he like yields to everyone. I mean, Russell
He does,
Westbrook,
but
his
he
whole
still
career.
gets his.
I'm saying right now, Kevin Durant still somehow sneaks into these best players in the world.
You're so right.
By the end of the year, I think that will be definitively over.
Wow, that's
right, but he's still going to be part of the big two.
That's only 2 peppers.
Well, because I agree with Wind. I'm not saying that he's washed.
KD?
I'm not saying that he's washed. I watched him in the playoffs last year. Is he going to be better?
He's barely in that conversation. He's like hanging on to that conversation. I feel like he's pretty much out of it.
I just
though.
think there's a
in
level
ours,
down.
but he's still in everyone else's.
Is he?
Yeah,
I
he
feel like people know now.
By the end of the year, to me,
It was that way
Booker-
last year, but
Booker Durant will be clear to me by the end of the year.
But Bradley Beal, you think will be the guy that
oh,
sacrifices?
he is the clear Kevin Love, Chris Bosh of this trio.
What does he
Well,
do?
yeah.
That? What are his skills there?
But that's the thing, like those
Lockdown
Chris
defense.
Bosh, Kevin Love complemented, the big two in Cleveland and Miami. Bradley Beal doesn't complement Devin Booker and Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
He does the same exact thing as those guys.
Let's run through. I want to be
puts the
quick because
ball
I got a
in the
lot of
bucket.
names here. So let's kind of be quick. LeBron. We've been wondering this for years. Is
Sure,
this the
maybe.
one though? Is this
Maybe,
the one where
probably.
it's like, or is it just games? Like he just won't play. A
I
lot of
think
games
it's just games.
But when
Yeah.
he does play, he's still.
I think he's still at the level.
But it's like last year's level, though. He can have that half that he had in the playoffs. He can do that.
Right.
And he was the best player on that team when he was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But can he do it every game? At 2 halves a game? I don't know.
I think when you look at a player's curve, like productivity curve, it's exponential both ways, up and down. And I do just wonder if this is the year where you're kind of like 15 games into it and you're like, LeBron's averaging 14 a game? You know,
There's
like-
no way that's going to be the
or,
case.
or maybe it's LeBron shooting 20% from 3.
that might be it.
that-
I mean,
those
but
types of
he's
things.
kind of done that, month here, month there, a couple months. He's done that in the past before.
I'm just saying it's exponential on the way out, man.
yeah.
I've got a guy who I think it gets the okay, that's cute kind of treatment. I think De'Aaron Fox is ready for maybe a different
Which way?
leap.
Oh, up. You think?
I thought you were going the other way.
I thought he was too the way you set that
Oh,
up.
no.
It's because I think the Kings might
But I don't think, maybe, but by the end of that series, still wasn't sure if either the Kings or the Warriors were good. But when the dust settled,
not really sure.
Still not sure. But when the dust settled, what I felt like I knew was that Fox was ready for that series. It was not the reason they lost. Pretty high on the list of reasons they were in it. And so I don't know if he's a top tier guard, but is he ready to be a 16-win guy in a way he doesn't get talked about?
I like that you guys are on opposite ends of this. It makes for a fun
I'm
little...
not a Kings guy.
I'm not a Kings guy either, but I think I'm a De'Aaron Fox guy.
I think I'm with you. De'Aaron Fox was nasty, but I could also see the Kings being bad and it being like...
I mean, I don't think they're going to be bad. I just think they're not going to be the 2 seed.
That's what I mean, is I could see them being just one of the
They'll be in the
teams.
mix.
Yeah.
Can I give you a regression candidate? Brandon Ingram.
Well...
He might be my number one regression candidate. He's going to put up points in New Orleans, but it's not going to mean anything.
A little bit of breaking news. You see that Trey Murphy just tore his meniscus?
What? I did see that.
Trey just came out during the show. Trey Murphy, you guys listen to the show, one of my favorite role players. Like,
are you okay?
I am okay.
Are you okay?
I still have Herb Jones, but I really like Trey Murphy, and so that's a bummer. But maybe it does factor into Ingram. I don't know.
I just think this might be the year New Orleans decides to pull the plug. You know, they've kind of been dancing around it the last couple years with Zion. And it's like if it all doesn't come together in the first couple months for them, it might be time.
All right.
And I mean, Brandon Ingram, like, case in point, Team USA. Like, why is he on Team USA? Like, there's no need for him.
Do you know the answer to that? There's an actual answer.
Like Nike?
No, he played for the Lakers when he started his career.
Oh.
I'm not even kidding about this. Like, he got the Lakers bump, and now...
But, I mean, if you're looking for a guy that's the definition of empty stats, it's Brandon Ingram. And I just think this is the year everybody realizes that, like, he can't be your number one player on a contender. He might not even be able to be your number 2 guy. And it's just time to rethink what the Pelicans are doing.
Vote. Can I give you a trade that I kind of love that I just thought of?
Yeah.
John Morant for Brandon Ingram. You already got your 2 guards in Memphis, so you just need a wing now.
If I'm a Grizzlies fan, I'm breaking a TV if you make that trade. John Morant for Brandon Ingram?
I just went across saying I think John Morant might be a little overrated.
Sure, but I don't know if Brandon Ingram fits the culture you're going for in Memphis.
Well,
John Morant doesn't either.
You might just be trading.
I don't think the answer is Brandon Ingram.
But you might not need him to be that. And then you go to the other area. Let's go to New Orleans. Is that a coherent and functional team? Probably not. But you have Zion, who nobody physically matches up with, and Ja, who nobody physically matches up with. And it's like, you know what? We're just a chaos team that, like, physically is so weird.
40 combined games from the Stars this year, but
yeah, that part.
I do think Brandon Ingram, though, for all the hate I'm spilling on him, he could have a little Aaron Gordon potential, where if he goes to the exact right situation
like
and is just USA. Like, no, if he were to go to like the Warriors.
Yeah.
And like Draymond and Steph could mold him into Wiggins, but just the offensive version. No, he's Wiggins, but the offensive version of him.
I love this idea of like, if we send him to the greatest culture in basketball over the last 30 years, maybe he'll like fit in.
Hey, that's what people were saying about Wiggins before.
It is very true.
You guys know who I'm high on? Walker Kessler. I think Walker Kessler is sneaky good. Like, he just I mean, he's never going to have a sexy game, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has a Gobert-like rise where the metrics are, I know that sounds really funny to say, but where the metrics are just like, yeah, Utah's like a top 5 defense, and he, you know, when he's on the court, nobody scores in the paint and stuff. I think he has that potential just because of his size and timing.
He's good, no doubt. He's really good.
Could he be a guy, though, that like single-handedly elevates a team that's not even...
I mean, he kind of did last year.
Kind of did, yeah.
So I could see it.
But he's not talked that way.
Right.
He's not talked about like a defensive corner. So if you said the best defensive anchors in the league, you would get to 20 names before you mentioned Walker Kessler. I wouldn't be surprised if next year he's in the short list of like 7 or 8 names.
I could see it.
While we're in the area, Lauri Markkanen.
I was looking this up today. I could not believe how many points per game Lauri Markkanen averaged last year.
I'm glad he averaged 25.6 points per game.
What the hell?
Adam, do you know how many he averaged the year prior in Cleveland?
16, 15.
14.8.
Almost like he won most improved player.
Yeah.
And I think...
But what direction would he go, though?
Well,
that's the thing. I'm like...
But I mean, can he stay at that? He was an all-star. Can he stay in that level? And that's... Yeah. We looked at him as a streaky kind of guy. a guy who looks great at international play, right? But then he thrived at Eurobasket, and that actually carried over in a new environment. Can you win a championship with him scoring 25 points per game? Fine, whatever, I don't know. But does he get the opportunity to do this again, and can he do it again? I'm kind of 25. There was still time for him to show us who he was. Maybe he made a leap.
A guy I'm picking here to make the leap. I just have always liked Cade Cunningham. And that's a clear one. Last year he was injured a little bit, but there was a little bit of is this guy an actual star, or is he like a high level role player, or this or that? I kind of think this year he becomes a star.
I think that's pretty good bet.
Yeah, I think that one's safe. And then the other one I like here, 2 players opposite direction. James Wiseman, I think this is the last year we hear from him. This is my prediction.
He's going to China?
I think he might be in China after this year. And then conversely, I love Isaiah Stewart. I love Isaiah Stewart. I wouldn't be surprised, like, you have the young, shiny, James Wiseman. You put him out there, you're like, this guy's not a player at all. This guy's terrible. Right. And then the workhorse, unsexy Isaiah Stewart, and you're like, no, this guy, when he's on the court, they're always a plus 12.
Right. I like Isaiah Stewart,
He guards and he rebounds.
And he's tough as shit.
He's just tough, man.
He's a throwback.
You got one?
Bridges? Have we talked about Bridges at all?
Yeah. I think it happened
Has
last
it happened
year.
already?
I don't see him going to superstar.
Okay.
Right. I mean, the guy I think might also fall off, Brook Lopez. Sneaky old, man. Brook Lopez has been an anchor defensively and all these different things. But again, like I said, the downside is steep. And I just wouldn't be surprised if we get into it and it's like teams have figured out Brook Lopez because he can't guard the way he has the last few years.
Yeah. A guy I like to make the leap is Jaden McDaniels in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think people might put him in the best defender in the NBA conversation. And he's kind of a candidate to take on a bigger role offensively too, especially if they get Karl Towns out of there. So I mean, I think he's going to be a major factor next year.
What do you think he can be offensively? Because I was going to say Mikal Bridges, but he's not that good.
No.
What can he be offensively? Because defensively, I'm with you. He's like unbelievable.
Yeah. It's a good question.
He's like a good slasher is what you're kind of looking for here.
I mean, I was kind of thinking Orlando Aaron Gordon for a second.
No, you might be right. Maybe it's Aaron Gordon.
That type of player.
More of a 3-4 than a 4-3, but
yeah.
I don't know if this fits the description of the segment. I'm ready to turn on Drew Holiday. I think the shot selection
we're just pushing Giannis out of Milwaukee with every segment.
I just think the shot selection kind of sucks, you know?
We're reading the tea leaves here. The shot selection. He's too young though, and too good. Like he's still and on that team.
Drew Holiday,
32.
He ain't young,
but I'm saying he's not old enough to be like, oh my god, he's so much worse than he was.
Right,
he's gonna be the same guy where he guards everyone really well. And you're right, his shot selection isn't good. But guess what? That's how Milwaukee plays.
I know.
They have a new coach.
I'm just joking.
Scottie Barnes was an interesting one for me because I think that Toronto is falling apart. He had a disappointing second season, and I kind of wonder if he's more the second season guy than he was the first season guy. And that team falling apart coinciding with his like kind of fall. I just wonder if the spotlight goes more on him and it's like, yeah, he actually doesn't have this.
Yeah. Potentially. I don't like a player like Scottie Barnes, you got to have some options around him, you know?
Yeah.
It's tough for a guy like that can blossom into something, but the runway, like his first elite skill is defensive tools. It's such a project. And he flashed so much right away that it got really exciting. But I don't know if he's a guy who, the way he plays, the position he plays, he's primed to just turn into a new player.
All right, let's take a quick break. On the other end, we were going to do another segment. We might push it to tomorrow, but I have a couple more names on this list that I think are kind of interesting. And again, we can wrap it up and bring it back to Nuggets and just think about what does this list kind of mean as we go through all these different players.
Guys, for the Denver summer, for wherever you are during the summer, you need sunglasses. Got to get hooked up with some Shady Rays. Best sunglass brand on the market. Use code DNVR. You're going to get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. If you want to check out Shady Rays in person and you're local, they got a location at Park Meadows Mall. Full stop shop for all Shady Rays. You can also go to shadyrays.com, browse their whole selection. They got all different styles, all different colors, whatever type of sunglass you're into. You can find it, shadyrays.com. The best thing about Shady Rays, they have great customer service. If you lose or break your pair of Shady Rays, even on day one, they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can also return or exchange your new Shady Rays within 30 days. Again, no questions asked, no risk when you shop. ShadyRays.com, use the code DNVR, 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses, rated 5 stars by 250,000 people.
Quick PSA about our friends Backus and Schenker. You can chase the buses down. They're not on it. They're not there. So if you're looking to meet them, that's not the way to do it. You should actually just call them at 222-2222.
If you get run over by a Backus and Schenker bus, can you still call them?
Probably. That would be pretty ironic, though.
I think they told us the answer to that question. I gotta check my notes.
They've probably gotten that question before.
They help with all kinds of injury cases when you weren't at fault: car accidents, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, trucks. They can even help, if you're injured at work. Ow, that's crazy, man.
Wow, that just
This
happened
new
right
desk?
as you did
Are you kidding?
Wow.
Anyway.
Wait. Is Backus and Schenker going to sue us now?
222. Call them at 222-2222 to find out if you have a case. Remember, they don't charge you to speak or to take on your case. They charge you if they've won your case, and they win, baby. Call Backus and Schenker.
Man, back here, final segment. Some bangers in the chat. Rob Nugg says, can't wait to see about 8 Aaron Gordons next year. It's true. We did just anoint like 8 Aaron Gordons.
Yeah.
We just ran through. Everybody has an Aaron Gordon, it turns out.
It was Wiggins last year.
That's true.
We were correct in calling AG this year.
I think you're right. And then I saw another good one. Oh, yeah. J.K. Walrus says, I predict Cat not to make the leap, claim he made the leap, and then change the game. You're right. That is absolutely
He might
going to
make the
happen.
leap in Charlotte.
Hey, man. He would put up some numbers out there, him and LaMelo. Where are we at on Ben Simmons? I can't go to Win first. I got to go to you first because I know what Win's going to say. Well, Ben Simmons
Out.
You just think he's out, so you think it's over for him.
I would say the burden of proof
He looks great in the
is
photos.
on Ben.
He looks great in the photos. Have you seen him? He looks ripped.
Yeah. Listen.
He's been in the lab.
There is no player in the NBA except for Joel Embiid, maybe, who has the burden of proof is on them right now more. Like, I just can't. Until he does it, I'm not even entertaining it.
Did you guys see over the weekend? He said that if he were traded, he'd want to go to Philly.
I love that.
Him and Cat have to team up, man. Those two have to team up somewhere. So you're that out on it that it's laughable. The idea that Ben Simmons might actually have a Markelle Fultz-esque bounce back to where it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, I don't see how you could talk yourself into that. The guy willingly sat out the last 2 years. Willingly. Like, I don't want to play basketball anymore.
All right. I'm sorry I asked.
Shout out Ben Simmons' stylist, who may be the world's worst at reading a room. No one has ever just
got a
needed to
great
blend into the
photographer,
background more, and he's showing
Elite
up.
S-tier photographer, whoever that guy is.
As he pops on the sideline every game, and I'm like, you'd think you'd want to just kind of find a hoodie or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What about Tyler Herro?
Well, I think in Portland. Just kidding. I don't know.
Do you think? I mean,
annoying.
honestly, it might be though. Tyler Herro's in a perfect spot right now where it's unclear just how valuable he is as a player.
I agree with that, but I think in Portland, he would just sort of be in that off with Simons. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know like how much of this is. I know he can get buckets. I know that.
Yeah.
You know, how much is he a winning player?
He's not a Portland guy.
I've got to wonder if we're asking that question about Tyler Herro for just the next 5 years.
Every year.
And
go
we
into it. never
actually find that out.
Yeah, it could be.
Is he a winning player? Is he? I don't know. We'll see this year.
He does it. He's can be a helpful and productive player in the NBA, but it does feel like, will it ever be more than okay, he took that shot and is he hot tonight?
If we would have done this last year, Jalen Brunson would have been a guy that should have been picked because he went from a very good second star to like the cornerstone guy. But where do we see him this year?
I think he maintains his status.
Stays right
probably
there.
about where he was last year.
Yeah.
I saw ESPN did a survey of all their NBA writers, and they had, I think, the Knicks' third best odds to win.
They're
the title
kind of
or
a
something.
sexy pick in the East.
Yeah.
The East is back to everybody knowing that it's terrible.
There's also a Knicks ESPN CAA thing there that might be
man,
like
dude.
a little.
Which is really funny because just ask Knicks fans and they'll tell you.
Adam, don't
no.
you know the league is better when the New York Knicks
the leagues are
are
better.
good?
Tell my New York sports group chat that the Knicks are going to win the East.
That title in '67 is just still it's still there.
I'm sorry, I was talking about actual journalists, unbiased journalists picking the Knicks and CAA. What about Trae Young?
Nice.
I got a hot take. I think this year, him and John Morant might both go the same route, where it was like, Yeah, they might have already reached peak Ja, and we might have reached peak Trae.
I agree. I mean, everybody's been talking themselves into the Quinn Snyder effect. Oh,
Yeah.
he's got Quinn Snyder, their offensive genius. He's going to turn Trae Young into a. I just don't think Quinn Snyder even has that ability. He's a good coach, but like he can't do that.
They might party together.
You're so terrible.
I'm just kidding.
Last one I have for you guys that I think is kind of interesting, Evan Mobley. If you look at Evan Mobley, we all agree is a fantastic player. I love Evan Mobley, but his rookie and sophomore seasons, the numbers are like literally the same, within 0.1 in almost every stat. And I look at it and I go, is there a leap for a player like him, or is he just a pretty good player who's good and he's kind of good all around? Because to me, I think he has star potential, but he
flatlined so much last year. I mean, he's got to take a bunch of steps offensively, right? Like he's got to be able to shoot threes. Probably, he's got to just take a leap there. I think.
Who's his point guard?
Darius
Garland.
Yeah, but not him really. Who has the ball in his hands the most?
Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, the real bubble merchant.
Oh wow, we're so spicy today, guys. We had a long weekend, and all of our takes are.
I'm kidding. I like Donovan Mitchell. I like him.
But my thing is I do think that it's hard to be a big with Donovan Mitchell. This has always been my take: is that he's a little bit shot thirsty and not exactly a guy that's like thinking about how to set up his big man. And part of me does wonder about that for Mobley.
Well, I think the good news is Donovan Mitchell could have his eyes set on Madison Square Garden.
He very well may. Mobley, I'm just so curious because I do feel like this is not a make or break year, but it is like it's time to kind of take a leap for him.
It's
if he's going to do it.
narrative setting.
It's a narrative setting.
Yeah, where if he makes the leap, boom, he's back on the trajectory to maybe be in the next Kevin Garnett. If he doesn't, who knows what Evan Mobley is.
So, Vote, to bring it back, where's Jamal Murray amongst all the players we talked about in terms of likelihood to make this leap?
I think he's at the very top. Maybe a notch below.
We have Haliburton,
the Edwards and the Haliburtons, just because of their youth and the perceived headroom.
Okay.
But we've talked about it all summer, right? So I don't want to overstate, but the opportunity for Murray is so obvious. It's just so obvious that when it comes to narrative and perception, he can swing this to, he goes from not in some of these conversations to like the easy answer.
Right.
So not to overstate it, but the opportunity's there.
Yeah, I'd put SGA Anthony Edwards in tier
Haliburton too?
1A.
Is Haliburton there?
Sure.
1A.
And then I would have Jamal Murray in tier 1B.
He's such a
What?
That was sneaky good.
I thought that was
Sneaky good.
I thought that was the best way to explain it. They're in the same tier. I'm dead serious. They're in the same tier, but Jamal Murray is just a step below those two guys. I don't know about Haliburton, but definitely just a slight step below SGA and Anthony Edwards, because Jamal Murray still has to play with Nikola Jokic, KCP, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. SGA and Anthony Edwards are the clear best player on their team. Jamal Murray is not, and is not going to be this season. So he's got more mouths to feed. He's playing with more talent. He's in a different role than those guys. Jamal Murray I still think he's going to make the leap, but it's not going to feel like it is when those guys make the leap.
This is why I found this question interesting as a topic, is that when I was going through the list of guys that I thought could make a leap, I was sitting there going like, Jamal has every good bit of chance to do this as those guys do. He's as primed for that. And the injury again, the age makes it feel a little bit different. But honestly, just in the arc of his career, I just feel like he's ready to kind of be a guy that is thought of meaningfully differently. And he's tough anyway because the playoff success already has you thinking differently. And real quickly, let's just run through it. What about Michael Porter?
Man, I talked about this in the Slack with you guys. I still think some people just saw the tail end of the Lakers series, the finals, and thought, oh man, a chucker that came up short. He had a really good playoff run. And I think there's room for him to show the world that he's a much different player than they thought. That can be 4 to 5 more points per game, but also completely shedding the liability label from the casual perspective, and just there's still a little bit of a Jordan Poole kind of, the guy that makes a lot of money. How serious is he? And I think he's quite serious about basketball. And I think he's going to let the world know.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So you think Murray and Porter both have better
By
than
the way-
average odds of kind of making a sort of narrative splash, also impact leap.
Yes, Porter's being significantly smaller in scale.
I don't know about that, man. I've been
smaller in scale, not chance scale. Like,
no, I know, but I've been watching some Porter highlights lately, man. I've been
Trust me,
pulling
don't
a
get-
vote.
don't get me going.
I've been pulling a vote lately, just kind of like, all right, I got a little time here. What am I going to pull
Michael
up?
Porter heading to Taiwan this week.
That's right, for baseball.
He's
then?
appearing at a Taiwanese baseball game.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's a nice little appearance, September appearance.
Yeah, well, there you go. I don't know. I just like the odds of both of those guys kind of making a narrative leap. And I will say that we're at a weird time in the NBA where I really do feel like the old guard is still there, but at some point they won't be. The LeBrons and the Stephs
Totally,
and stuff.
man.
And I just, again, we've been doing this for 3 years, so I'm not going to do it again. But at some point, it is going to be a thing where we look up and go, you know, LeBron just doesn't have it anymore. He's a
Harrison.
good player, but
Before we go, we can't let him forget that he forgot Franz Wagner.
I didn't forget it. I didn't bring it up because I knew you guys weren't going to like it.
Dude, we all like Franz Wagner.
Well, not
He's
like I
just
like him.
not like a top 15 player in the NBA.
Not a top 15 player in the NBA, but
Top
sneaky
20?
better than you. I'm telling you, he's the Jokic.
21st.
He
He's
didn't
the
say
Jokic
no to 20.
Paolo's Embiid. I'm just saying, like, he doesn't do
No,
quite
you should have said he's the Jokic to Paolo's Nurkic.
Well, it's not that, though. Come on.
But-
I'm
but-
not that low on Paolo. I'm just saying, people have anointed him as the guy that for sure, the same way they did with Embiid. And I'm like, I don't know. The impact of what he does is just like a little more subtle.
I do not think it's a crazy take that if you're building a championship team, you would rather Franz Wagner. I do not think that is a crazy take. I don't.
But Paolo's going to get you some buckets. Did you see by the way, as we get out of here, you can hit that outro music if it is not already. Did you see the Paolo's interview when they asked him, do you have
Yeah.
anything to say to the Italian
I actually thought that was awesome.
basketball fans? No. Because, of course, he kind of ditched them at the last second.
Yeah.
But he's playing well for Team USA. That does it, guys. Tonight, I haven't been watching the FIBA World Cup. You know, I've cut the last game or whatever. Tomorrow's game, 6:30, Slovenia. I'm into it. Canada, Slovenia, I'm into it, man. I think I might be doing that. I have to set that early alarm now to watch all these games because they get real now. And I'm pretty excited
Into
for
it.
it. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button on the way out. We'll see you next time.